and the Hezbollah. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice is once again in the region. Even the Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah acknowledged her presence. We continue with General Mackenzie, Lisa Schurz, and Colonel Cowan. Oh, we're going to go to, folks, we have breaking news. We're going to go to Jennifer Griffin, who, as you know, is on that Israeli-Lebanese border. Jennifer, what have you got?
Well, John, we were talking about how Israeli troops pulled out just a little while ago from Bint Jubail. What I can tell you now is all this artillery fire that you hear in the background, it is basically providing cover for Israeli troops who are going into Lebanon, into a new location, a location they have not been into before. And we have a report from our bureau chief, Eli Fassman, who's up on the front lines right now watching what's taking place. And he said that he can see a lot of activity up there. They're sending in heavily armored D9 bulldozers in order to tear down buildings on the ridges in South Lebanon across the border. And he also said that he's seeing them explode houses there, so placing dynamite, and you're seeing explosions in the night. But that's the reason that we are hearing all this outgoing artillery. They are moving into now a third position in South Lebanon after having pulled out of Bint Jubail earlier today. John?
Well, it tells me, Jennifer, they must have had success in Bint Jubail. They must have felt that they had accomplished their purposes there, and now moving the heavy bulldozers in, they're obviously searching for weapons caches. There's the same kinds of things that they found in Bint Jubail. Would you agree?
I would agree, but what I think the bulldozers signify, John, is that they're trying to level the terrain over there. What you see when you're up at that border is that there are a lot of high positions that they can fire from and fire from behind. They want to level that before a ceasefire is imposed. John?
All right, Jennifer, thanks for that breaking news. Appreciate you being with us. We continue with General Mackenzie, Lisa Schurz, and Colonel Cowan. Colonel Cowan, you know, the thing that worries me about this is the weapons become more sophisticated. The legs of these missiles are longer and longer. The payloads are more and more powerful. So we are where we are today, which is probably manageable despite the fact, you know, it's a horrible thing where people can be killed. But you think 5, 10 years down the road, the lethality, the accuracy, I mean, really a problem. How are you going to ever stop this?
You got to go to the source, John. You know, you're absolutely right. And perhaps Nasrallah has some weapons up his sleeve he hasn't used yet. When he starts talking about some more of the long-range stuff, we may see something land on Tel Aviv. You got to go to the source. Hezbollah is not making those rockets themselves, as you know. It's over to North Korea, technology from Russia, all these things going to Iran, Iran moving it to Syria, Syria moving it to Hezbollah. It's a network of international arms dealers that the U.S. and the international community needs to close down before states like that get the kinds of things, or groups get the kinds of things
Colonel,
that can wreak havoc globally.
One more question quickly, because I want to bring the other two in. This is a religious war more than a secular war. In the old days, the Egyptians, the Jordanians, and even the Syrians were worried about land. Now this is about religion.
Absolutely, John. We are fighting, you know, Islamofascism. Fortunately, it's a small percentage of the population out there. It doesn't represent all Muslims, but we have to be concerned
how many more
Muslims find reason to be part of it.
We're going to have to turn them. General, what does the force look like? What does an international force? Describe it for us quickly. Who should it be? What will their power be? How will they protect themselves?
Well, providing it's not with the UN, which would put their hands behind their back with handcuffs, it is best to subcontract to a military organization that then can bring its people on board, as opposed to going around and trying to gather up individual countries. So there's not going to be a long line of people volunteering.
Now, General, you were in Sarajevo, where they had snipers on the top of a hill killing people when they put their heads out of their homes. That was a NATO force. That's not likely here. So what do you think it looks like?
No, that was a UN force when I was there, and it was NATO that actually rescued the mission because they came in with some teeth and armor, etc. This would be, I would say, 25 to 30,000. Organized probably 2 to 3 divisions with heavy equipment and with a mandate to use deadly force, particularly to carry out Resolution 1559 of the UN, which says Hezbollah must disarm.
All right.
Because I must say I give credit to the negotiation desire, but when you have an objective of an organization whose only objective is the destruction of the state of Israel, it's a little hard to negotiate.
All right, Lisa, the state of the refugees, will there be a path for them to get out? And how long does it take them to recover from all this?
The U.S. needs to work in partnership with the international community on this question, John. And I really want to see us working more with Europe and more with the international community at large. I feel like we're just over there talking with Israel, and we're not really engaged with the rest of the world on this issue.
Look, I wish I had an hour here to do all this. I want to thank you all. You're all very, very informative. Thanks for being with us. And coming up, folks, you don't want to miss this. We're going to talk to a woman who risked her life to speak out against Muslim extremism, finds of their own beliefs and teachings for 14 centuries. Dr. Wafa Sultan joins us. Doctor, tell us exactly what you said on Al Jazeera. And I read about this in the New York Times. There were 1 million hits on the debate that occurred there. Tell us what you said that got everybody so worked up.
Actually, I was interviewed twice on Al Jazeera. I don't have Al Jazeera at my house, and by that time, I knew nothing of the show. The host called me 2 days earlier and invited me to be his guest. I thankfully accepted his invitation, only to find myself face to face with a clerk who was screaming, yelling, and interrupting me, trying to intimidate me. I wasn't well prepared, but I did what I have to do. The subject was the relationship between Islam and terrorism. And they asked me if I believe there is any link between Islam and terrorism, and I said, of course, I do believe it. And the problem is deeply rooted in our Islamic teachings.
Now, Doctor, let me hold you there for a second, because that's exactly what you said. You said that you felt that there was a distortion of what Islam is all about. And, you know, why did you feel so compelled to speak out, and did you fear for your personal safety?
I really don't have fear. I believe many Muslim people are sick of their teachings, but they are waiting for someone to admit it. And it is me. Someone has to do it, and it is me. I believe in my mission, and I will keep doing it to the last day of my life.
Doctor, why is it that there are Muslim women who seem to stand up and say they're very happy to be treated as second-class citizens? Why is that?
Because I believe they are hostages to their own belief. I believe they are trapped. They are slaves, but the worst part of it, they believe they are free.
Doctor,
we all have to educate them.
How is it possible that there is honor killings in a country like Turkey? Honor killings being where a woman is accused of having committed adultery when perhaps she was raped, then she's stoned and executed. How does this happen?
It is rooted deeply in our teachings, and always women are responsible for acts like this. I believe the Muslim man has not achieved anything in his life, so he pick on women just to make sure he's in control. This is the reason behind this situation.
Doctor, you are a very brave woman. I want to have you back for a longer period. We have so much news tonight. We're going to have to leave it there, but you're a hero to many people, and I'll bet you keep it up. You're going to bring about change, and we'll win the war inside the Muslim faith for moderation. Folks, we're coming back with a whole bunch of things, including the attack at the Jewish Center.
Water in one room can mean water damage in the walls and ceilings of other rooms as well. So call the water cleanup specialist at 1-800.
Missiles and rockets again crisscrossing the Israeli-Lebanese border. Hezbollah fired more than 90 rockets into northern Israel today, and Israel staged some 60 airstrikes in Lebanon. Meantime, Israel's second front is heating up. Palestinian sources say an Israeli missile destroyed a house in Gaza.